Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is No, it's not Thursday. It's Friday. Almost did it. Where are we at here? It's Friday, November the 18th, 2022. It's another Technical Alpha podcast. Glad you could join us today. Got another wonderful, magical show lined up for you as always. We weren't here yesterday because I wasn't here yesterday. I was out all day. As anyone who's been listening for the last couple of weeks would know, M is about to head out into the great and unknown West to do some travel nursing for the next month. She leaves this weekend, and so we've been running around. Now that she's finally done her shifts at the hospital here in the city, we've been running around trying to get everything ready for her, all of her stuff packed that she could possibly need, and get all of that prepped and get. She's had vaccine stuff to get, like for example, she had to get her polio vaccine because in the Philippines they don't hand those out to children, or didn't when she was born, and so she had to get one here. And amongst other things, like today we got her flu shot and whatnot, and just getting her pumped full of modern medicine before she goes over there, because they make you sign a paper to say you are pumped full of modern medicine before you go over there and work at the hospital. So we were out all day yesterday and couldn't quite get back for the podcast, so we're doing it today. We're squeaking one in right before Mr. Black does. I think it was some kind of RP related activity this evening. Is on the docket.
Yeah.
Can I ask what exactly it is that it's a scheduled event? Is it
some concert that?
Oh, it's a concert.
Yeah. So
exciting.
Do it. Not really.
you sound really. So thrilled about this concert. Okay. So it's not. This is not an OTT specific concert. This is you are one act in a series of people.
I'm the headliner.
Okay. Who's opening for you? T-Pain?
I have no idea. Probably.
I'm actually surprised T-Pain hasn't tried to do No Pixel yet, or maybe he has, and I just haven't fucking heard about it.
I don't know.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Before we get started, as always, got the most important question of the week. Mr. Black, how's your week?
It's another week. Same old shit. Different pile.
Incredible. Gonna run out of room for piles here pretty soon. You're gonna have to actually reuse piles. Just get them to go vertical instead of expanding outward forever and ever. We got our tile was finally in. That got finalized this week, so the guy came over and got to work on that. So that was a bit of a harrowing situation, actually. So we had my uncle come in and we measured off all the square footage, and then we told him that we wanted herringbone pattern, which is a style of tile lay that inherently has a lot of wastage on the tile just by the nature of the pattern, because you have to do a lot of cuts. And so we got him to do the estimation of the amount of tile that we were going to need to do the square footage, instead of us trying to estimate it. So when we bought the tile, we'd have enough tile. So he estimated a little too closely. Because as our tile layer was in the entryway trying to get the last of it done, because he finished the bathroom first, he did the count on the floor, and he was like, "We might be fucked." And I said, "What do you mean we might be fucked?" He said, "Well, I don't know if we're gonna have enough tile to actually pull this off." I said, "Okay, that's a minor problem." So we called up my uncle, and he scoured the city and got a bunch. There was 7 tile that matched mine that were all being used as samples in various locations. And so we got 7 extra tile, brought them to the house. We ordered another box. The problem is it's in fucking Toronto. So we needed a tile now, because we didn't want to have the fucking tiler have to come back another 2 times. We're going to be paying out the asshole every time the tiler shows up on the job site. So we got the tiles, and he gets back to work. And when it all said and done, shit you not, there was 2 tiles left when it was all said and done. Barely Barely. We were starting to come up with ideas like, all right, well, in the bathroom, you know, we tile a little further underneath where the vanity's going to go, then might be necessary. So maybe we can pull some tile out of the fucking bathroom. We can use the bathroom tile, but we didn't have to. Thankfully, we had just enough tile, and it's good we had two because the next day when he came back to grout the entryway, one of the tiles out towards the basement stairs, cracked when he was down on the fucking tile. And so he had to pull that one, and we had two tile left, and we were all like fucking losing it because every time he put a tile in that tile cutter, every one of these tiles, the reason why he took so long too, there were like 6 tiles in total that he didn't have to go out and use a grinder. These tiles did not want to cut on an angle. They would cut straight, they would cut like fucking in a cross anyway, but the moment you went diagonal, they would not cut fucking clean. And so he had to go outside for every one of these with a fucking grinder and fucking grind the cut down. And so every time he did that, I was seeing dollar signs leaving my fucking bank account because it was just gonna like double the amount of time it was gonna take him to fucking do the tile lay. But it got done, and we're good to go. We were very lucky. You know, my uncle. This is the guy that has laid tile commercially and otherwise for my uncle for over 20 years. He's a 3rd generation tiler, 30 years deep in experience himself. And even he didn't want to do herringbone. And I said, all right, well, look. Em wants it, so that's what's going to happen. You're going to have to fucking do it. We'll pay you for it. Just do it. It's fine. I'll do it. But goddamn did he do a good job. As you would expect, if he came in with that resume, so I'm a 3rd generation tiler with 30 years of experience, and he shit the bed, I would have been very disappointed. Would have been rattled. But yeah, we got spoiled in that regard. So that stuff went in. Dad and I continued to do the kitchen up. We're just about ready to box in the upper cabinets where the vent hood's gonna go. We got to get Brian to come over to do a quick run of electric for the microwave. Then we can box that in, and then we can actually finish putting in the bottom cabinets, put the island in, and then make a call to have them come and measure for the fucking countertop. So anyway, that was this week. That's what we got done. We did the remainder of the downstairs work as well, so now I've got to call the city. As I mentioned last week, that we finally got that done. So I got to call the city and have somebody come over and say, yes, you're allowed. And then I will do more paperwork, and then we'll finally start being able to put our feelers out. But we're going to look interior first, you know, ask around. Does anyone that we know or know people that we know, 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon here. How many people away from the people that we know might be looking for a place to rent before we go out and put that shit on a fucking website and then have to friggin' start vetting every single person that walks through to look at the apartment. So that will be forthcoming in the next while. We're hoping to get somebody in January, if not February, the latest. So we'll get her done. But that was my week. That was the show. Played some Warzone. It's Call of Duty. It's different from Warzone 1 dramatically, but it's still Call of Duty. I do like it more than Warzone 1. But if you look at Twitter and all of the streamers and the pro players, holy shit, they're salty. Oh my god. Everyone with a FaZe clan tag is losing their mind right now on Twitter over Warzone 2. It's incredible. The moment they took away slide canceling and bunny hopping, every one of them had an aneurysm simultaneously. It was incredible to watch. But there you have it. And now it's time to talk about some video game news, Mr. Black. First up, the time has come. You can tell your neighbor. You can update him if he hasn't gotten an email already. Google is beginning the refund of 3 years worth of Stadias this week. This is the first week they're going to get the thing kicked off. The majority of the refunds they are expected to have done by Stadia's shutdown date as of January 18th, 2023. That's not all, just the majority is what they're expecting. I would suspect that they won't even hit the majority, given that 3 years worth of Stadia sales across 20 countries might be a bit of a fucking headache. Imagine the moment somebody in 3 years changes an address, changes their credit card that they use for the payment of any of these devices. Now they gotta send them a follow-up email. They'd be like, hey, we tried, but we gotta get your new shit. And every time they gotta go chase somebody down, it's gonna take more time and more money. So it's gonna be a seriously expensive and lengthy operation. But if they're lucky, maybe they won't have to do too much of it. The quote that they have here for the actual refunded items, they said, "We will be offering refunds for all Stadia hardware purchases. which include Stadia controllers, Founders Edition Stadias, Premier Edition, and Play and Watch with Google TV packages. All of those made through the Google Store, and software transactions, games, and add-on purchases through the Stadia Store. Stadia Pro subscriptions are not eligible for refund. However, you will be able to continue your playing your games with Pro or in Pro until without any changes until they eventually press the off button, I guess. So there you go. The only thing you're not going to get your money back on was the actual service, the Pro service deal. Everything else they will be slowly working through to refund everyone. But yeah, God fucking speed. 20 country 3-year refund sounds like a fucking nightmare. I wouldn't want to do it. They're probably going to have to hire people just to come in to do this job because it's going to be mammoth. And I'll be interested. Your neighbor, if you find out if you talk to him between now and Christmas, if he gets an email that says, hey, here's your refund. You have to see if it actually goes through or how long before his name hits the list for refunds. And all of his friends, because he said he's got three or four friends.
Buddies. Yeah, a few of his buddies. So I'll ask him next time I see him.
Yeah, see what that process is like for him. TSM released a statement this week saying that they have, in lieu of FTX's bankruptcy and likely also its shady management, dropped FTX as a primary partner and sponsor effective immediately, and that even though it will obviously be a large financial blow, they are still, without FTX, profitable. Which I thought was impressive, given how esports organizations struggle to hit profitability without a major sponsor. So they're apparently doing relatively well for themselves, regardless. The FTX thing, if you don't know what FTX is, congratulations. Your life won't change for it. But it was the second largest crypto exchange in the world. It is no longer the second largest crypto exchange in the world. And they just properly filed for bankruptcy earlier this week. And if you really want to go down a fucking rabbit hole of absolutely just batshit early 20-somethings Silicon Valley type people doing some crazy nonsense, it's a good read. As long as you weren't part of the investment, people that actually had money on there, you might not want to read that because you'll probably lose more years off your life. But for everyone else, mild entertainment factor. Coming in there. They also, and I haven't heard this, not that it's video game related specifically, but they had an entire arena renamed after them for there's a basketball / I don't know if it's also used for hockey or whatever. I can't remember which team it was off the top of my head, but they were heavily involved there. They had lots of money at the time. Or should I say, theoretically they had lots of money, but they didn't actually have that much money because, well, when the shit came calling, it was not there. But for the esports side, yeah, TSM said, no worries. We still have enough dirty esports money without them. It's okay. We'll find somebody else. They just might not win anything. They're making money off of merch sales, but they might not win anything. A follow-up from last week's Doom Eternal fiasco / shit show / whatever you want to call it. That was the one where Mick Gordon came out and responded to a Reddit post that was done by Marty Stratton. I think it was his last name. I can't remember exactly. Producer on Doom Eternal, who had gone to Reddit for whatever reason and randomly just fucking shit all over the whole process for making the soundtrack. And after a couple of years of trying to solve it internally and it didn't happen, Mick said, all right, fine, I'll write a Medium article that's longer than the Bible, and we'll see how that goes. So he did. And then Bethesda said, well, shit. Now we have to say something. Although I wish they didn't, because their statement was kind of fucking stupid. So they put out a statement here yesterday or the day before, and in their statement, they say that Mick mischaracterized id, the company that makes Doom, which is in complete contradiction, by the way, of Mick's actual statement, where very specifically, because as you can imagine, if it takes an hour to read, he's relatively detailed in what he said in the statement. He said, well, he didn't say this in this terminology, but he said, my beef specifically is with Marty. It has nothing to do with the rest of id. It is specifically and then Bethesda comes out and says, "How dare you shit all over id and mischaracterize everyone." So that was like their first mistake was apparently they did not read the entire article. They were just salty about it. And then they also said in their statement that it was very one-sided and an unjust account of what happened. Now, clearly it was a one-sided account because it was Mick giving his account, and it's kind of hard for one person to give an account that's not necessarily one-sided when they're just giving their side of a story that already has the other side out in the wild. You know what Bethesda didn't do? When Stratton posted his shit a couple years ago on Reddit and was a clearly one-sided account, Bethesda didn't come out and go, "Hey, whoa, that shit is one-sided and mischaracterizes what actually went down with everyone at id. You know, we gotta take a step back." None of that shit happened. But the moment that Mick came back and actually had the receipts that were longer than a fucking Walgreens, that shit changed the game. Now, unfortunately, what Bethesda didn't do, whether or not they didn't because of their legal stuff they're considering or whatever else, Bethesda has zero receipts. They're just coming out and saying Mick is mischaracterizing everything. That's not how it went down. You know, we stand with Marty and fuck Mick. You know, it's basically how that whole statement went down. So that didn't really convince very many people. I mean, Mick made it very clear it's between him and Marty, nothing to do with id. And so clearly there was a working relationship issue between the two. They tried to fucking clear it up. Marty allegedly offered, as we mentioned last week, a 6-figure shut your mouth deal for Mick, and then decided that was going to work after going to Reddit and posting a fucking lengthy freaking deal about the whole thing. It's kind of fucked up if you think about it. So we'll have to wait and see now that Bethesda's posted that. I haven't seen thus far if Mick has responded to the response. I don't know if he needs to. He already wrote a fucking entire Encyclopedia Britannica about the topic. But if more happens, we'll let you know. But it definitely, this is still not going down the same way as the Bayonetta shit. That Bayonetta shit blew up in like 4 seconds. She posted that video and 24 hours later, you know who did bring the receipts? The company. This is the reverse. We're seeing the reverse. So right now it's a bit of a fucky situation, but we'll see if anything else comes out of it and let you know. The Prince of Persia. I don't know if you remember this. We did mention this because it's been a hot minute. It's been like 2 years. But the Prince of Persia was announced to have a remake coming. Ubisoft announced this. It was a long while ago. I had forgotten, like most of the world, I think, forgot that it existed or was being created. Well, here's the deal. They're starting over. Completely. From scratch. The game is technically done. It was an Indian developer that was handed the reins to do this originally. They even finished that bitch and submitted it for certification. Here's the problem. It was so bad, Ubisoft looked at it and said, "Nah, we can't release this." And it was, and evidently it's bad enough that they're scrapping the whole fucking finished product and giving it to a new studio to try and rebuild it from scratch. So this game better sell real fucking well, because now we're going for round 2 on development for this. It's unlikely to be developed in a single calendar year, so even though most people forgot about it, you're going to have to wait a little bit longer, and Ubisoft is going to have to sell 3 times as many copies to make their money back on this bitch. And Mr. Black, if I had to ask you to make a prediction as to whether or not Prince of Persia Remake is going to make nearly enough money to cover 2 totally different development cycles, what do you think?
No. No, it's not gonna make enough to do 1 cycle.
No, let alone 2.
Let alone 2.
Overwatch 2. Spicy bullshit. Well, it's not Overwatch 2 specific, but this is a headlining factor, probably the biggest of all of the factors at play here, Mr. Black. Overwatch 2, amongst other services from Blizzard, will cease in China in January, which is really close. And you might be asking yourself, how the fuck did that happen? We went from Blizzard doing gangbusters over there. Overwatch is huge in China, like especially the esports scene. I think the majority of the viewership for Overwatch is still in China at this point. But Overwatch 2 will end service in China in January of 2023, and likely WoW and other Blizzard titles that fall under their agreement that they have with NetEase. So Blizzard partnered with NetEase, which anyone that maybe not even played that many games have definitely heard of that name before. Massive Chinese publisher. So they partnered with them to release Blizzard titles and manage those Blizzard titles in China. And they had an agreement up until now where it was time to re-up. They sat back at the table, and it was time to negotiate a new deal. And when Blizzard came for that new deal, apparently they came for the fucking throat. And NetEase said, nah, we don't need you that bad. And so let's outline what was released as parts of the deal that Blizzard, parts of that made this turn sour that we know of. So, the first part. Blizzard wanted more than a 50-50 split of the revenue share, which is outside of, according to those who are analysts in the video game market for China, that's outside of the scope of basically the majority of or all of the gaming deals that currently exist in China. Nobody's really pulling more than a 50-50 split within the Chinese market that are doing deals like Blizzard's doing here with NetEase. But Blizzard wanted more than 50-50. They also wanted NetEase to produce mobile games of all of their IPs and not just them having worked on Diablo Immortal. They wanted all that shit. They wanted mobile up the ass, which we already knew was a thing that they were working to accomplish, but this was part of the new deal. They said, look, you guys have a massive mobile market. The Chinese mobile game market is orders of magnitude greater than the West. You could put Europe and North America together, and it is a shit stain on the underwear of the Chinese mobile development and game market. And so they said, we want all that shit. We get as much on there as you can. And then on top of that, we want you to make all those games, sell them in your region, but we only want to give you that revenue share for all things sold within mainland China. And everything outside of mainland China, we want it all. Give it all over to us. And then to add on top of that, they also wanted NetEase to give up all of the data for all of the players in mainland China for evidently $0 Just give us the data. And so after all of that, and what the uppers at NetEase described as the relationship falling apart because of a jerk who remained unnamed. So I don't know who was doing the negotiating for Blizzard, Activision Blizzard at the time. They were called a jerk, I guess. So between these asks, which I'm not gonna lie, some of this sounds pretty fucking spicy. And the fact that the person doing the negotiating was a bit of a dick, NetEase said, not worth the trouble. You can now leave China. Thank you very much. Goodbye. And so in January, Overwatch and other Blizzard services will cease to operate within the region entirely. And they are, apparently NetEase is trying to come up with some method of, I guess, refunding unused stuff that was purchased and whatnot, trying to come up with some method of doing that. But to the degree of which that happens, I don't know yet. I haven't been able to see the specificity in which all of that will play out. I would assume Blizzard is now going to actively seek out another major publisher in the region to take over for NetEase. But if you've pissed off one, the odds of you walking into that room on the negotiation table and getting a more favorable deal, or even getting close to the deal that you tried to get at the first one, probably pretty slim. I mean, you would know this, Mr. Black, if anyone's talking with somebody that you were trying to negotiate with and somebody fumbled that shit, that's powerful fucking leverage when they go to the next table. You can't just walk in and drop the same deal on the table and say, hey, will you take this? And so they sit across and say, no, we already heard about this shit. This is not gonna happen here either. Sorry. And I can only imagine in China, where the market is controlled by a very small number of massive government-tied companies, it's even harder to try and pull over any kind of crazy deal. So I don't know. It'll be very intriguing what the near future of Blizzard and Activision games will be in that region. But that's not a region you want to lose access to, Mr. Black. It's a big fucking region.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they're fucked. They fucked up. They're fucked. And like the thing is China don't give a fuck.
They truly do not care.
China actually doesn't give a fuck. Like that's the thing. Like you can't buy China. You can't you can't bully China. You can't buy China. You can't even talk shit about China. Like if they found out that like a Blizzard employee talked bad about China 25 years ago.
Game over.
Game over. Like they don't give a fuck. It's like that in the movie business. Like pretty much all Marvel movies now aren't in China. They just don't get released anymore. China's like, no, you're done. It's over.
What was the catalyst for that? Do you know which movie it was that fucked that up?
The last thing that I heard was the main actor from Shang-Chi pretty much called China a communist country, like made some sort of comment.
I mean, that's not an incorrect statement, but still not one that they want to hear.
Correct. And he's of China. I do believe he's of Chinese descent.
He is. He's Canadian.
Canadian.
Yeah.
So I think he has family like that came from China.
Yeah.
And so, he was speaking of, this was like earlier in his career too. This wasn't even like, this was like, he talked about this like years ago and he became the star of a Marvel movie and it was Shang-Chi, like should absolutely be massive in China, right? With a Chinese lead actor.
You would think.
But he said one thing about China and they're like, guess what? No. Oh, and all of your other movies? No. Also with China too is there's a lot like, Disney is all about inclusion and, same-sex relationships and pushing.
Well, they're a Western company, so like the Western ideals or values gets put into their shit. Yeah.
Yeah, and China's like, no, none of this. You don't show this to our people. Like they're just not having it. So like I think it's a combination of like, Western ideologies, and then if you say anything bad about China, they don't care. Like you can't. Like they're like, oh, I don't, if this movie's gonna make China $1 billion, we don't care. It's not coming here. It's gonna be the same thing with this. If somebody said the wrong thing, did the wrong thing, smited them in the wrong way, they'll literally be like, Blizzard, you're done, bro. It's over. You ain't coming here. You ain't coming back. So they better hope it wasn't anything too dramatic, because China don't give a fuck.
You know what? That has to be a nightmare to try and navigate those waters for pretty much everyone involved, because imagine how much stress anyone at any level of the deal, so if it was the movie industry, from the actors all the way up to the fucking heads of the production companies or whoever is signing the papers to pay for the fucking films, everyone is basically on edge trying to be like, all right, nobody fucking slip up and say some stupid shit about China. We can't do it. Even if we agree with you, if we are going to stay in there, we have to fucking, this is what we have to do. Because it's true, it's not that anything that he likely said was incorrect, but they just don't want to hear it. And they have the power in terms of they don't need the market. They have more than enough people to be happy to close out other markets. They'll just fuck you up and kick you out.
Black Adam 2 not going in China. Black Adam not in China. Black Panther 2 not in China. They're done. Like they don't care. They're like nope. And these movies, like I do believe in Black Adam, there is one scene in China. There is like a scene because they want, and The Rock is relatively like celebrated in China. Like he's a big known figure, but it's not even just the star. It's like it's the movie itself. What is the message? What kind of characters are in there? What are you like? You know, you because the way they look at it is they don't want to they I mean, this is going to be harsh words to use, but they don't want to infect their culture with westernized ideologies that you know, hurt the foundation or the fundamentals, or I guess of their own ideology. Whether you side with them or not, I mean, that's just it doesn't really matter.
That's why they're doing it.
Country. That's why they're doing it. Oh, 100%. That's why they're doing it. They can censor. That's why they have such huge censorship, like on their internet, everything. Like they don't want their people seeing certain shit. They don't want them thinking a certain way. They don't want them, you know, you got to follow suit. So, and as soon as you break that tie, man, I'm not sure what you got to do to get back in good graces, but this doesn't sound good for Blizzard.
Bro, when you look at a country that is willing to install hundreds of millions of cameras to keep tabs on everybody inside, you gotta understand you're playing with a different animal. Ain't like,
bro, they just kill people. They'll literally you fuck around, you're gonna find out in China. Straight up.
It's just you can't. It's not the same thing. So yeah, it's a very challenging thing. Which is why it will make this all the more interesting as to how this goes down. It would be supremely ironic, or even almost comedic to me, that if it was Bobby Kotick at the table that was doing the negotiating. I honestly can't even think of who else. The
top
I don't know
guy
who else would do it.
Top guy at the top ain't doing no. My
you don't
guess
think Bobby would want to be at the table for the Chinese deal?
Well, I think he would be in the no. But I don't think he's the one that's you know, going to China.
He doesn't want to take that heat, so he sends like the next guy right below him. And like, like the COO, like an operations officer or some shit.
Somebody that they pay a large amount of money to do these things. But I mean, I don't know. Maybe Bobby got on the phone when shit was going sideways, and then he ran his mouth or whatever, right?
We'll never fucking know. But it kind of sucks for Microsoft that in the 11th hour, while they're trying to get this thing, and their primary thing is mobile games, that they lose China in this fucking deal. Maybe Microsoft will have to go in and be like, hey, look, that was the old guys. We're the new guys. All right, you gotta we gotta get to the negotiation table. But yeah, we'll wait and see just how that all pans out. Whoever does it, it's not going to be easy, and it will not be a favorable deal. Almost guaranteed. That's going to be a very difficult task to put in front of them. Speaking of another incredibly difficult task, apparently it is as usual when they were announced. The video game community was all over the place, both in support of and dissension towards the top 6 games that were picked for the Game Awards Game of the Year nominees. The nominees this year were, or are, and this happens on the 8th of December, by the way, the Game Awards for the actual show, if I'm not mistaken. The 6 games were A Plague Tale Requiem, which is that sequel to A Plague Tale. Elden Ring, no shit. God of War Ragnarok, big surprise. Horizon Forbidden West, not shocking. The last 2 are the ones that were dark horses. So Stray, which is that cat game that took over the fucking internet for a while, and Xenoblade Chronicles 3, which of all of them in the list for me made the least amount of fucking sense. I didn't hear anyone sitting around saying anything. Even my most diehard Japanese RPG community members or the people I follow in socials, nobody was like, oh my god, this is the game of the year. Like, nobody said that about Xenoblade Chronicles. But you know what a lot of people did say in the critics and community? Vampire Survivors, that $2 fucking Steam game that every creator and everyone, because it's $2, and everyone thought it was super fucking fun and amazing. And a lot of people were saying, you know, this should probably make the list. Not because it's a super complicated game, but if you think about it, if you can take a $2 video game and have everyone play it for like fucking tens of hours on end, that has to be a pretty fucking good video game. And so, yeah, I don't know, but the list is the usual suspects. Everyone knew that Elden Ring was going to be there, God of War Ragnarok was going to be there, Horizon Forbidden West was going to be there, mostly because Zelda didn't come out this year, otherwise Zelda would have been there and Horizon would have been sent to the Shadow Realm, as per usual. But it does bring up the same question as usual, with the exceptions of perhaps Stray. The types of games that get to Game of the Year is like the same It's kind of like the Oscars in the movies, right? There's a type that makes it. It's an action adventure RPG almost without fail, with very few outside the box of that. I mean, look at the big three that are there. That's essentially what you're looking at. I would be shocked if Elden Ring doesn't take the Game of the Year. I can't even. It's as far as I remember, for Metacritic, I think it's still either tied for or is the highest rated game of all time. If you include the number of people that reviewed it, because there are some games, you know, that have like fucking 9.9, and you look at the number of reviews, like 3. It's not the same thing, not quite the same thing. So I would suspect that's the case. You played Elden Ring. I'm not crazy, right? You dipped your toes in the water for Elden Ring, didn't you?
Yeah.
And how did you enjoy your time at Elden Ring? Because I know you played Dark Souls games before. Was it like the best Souls game that you played, or did you think that it lost something?
No, it's not the best Souls game. I'm going to trigger a lot of people when I say that.
Were you a Bloodborne guy then? Instead, is Bloodborne still your number one?
I'm Bloodborne. I don't
think that'll trigger. I think Bloodborne. A lot of people consider Bloodborne to be like the fucking
and
the tits.
The thing that I didn't like the most about Elden Ring, and I'm probably gonna go back and because I didn't actually beat the game, so it's like it's hard for me to, you know, to rank a game or rate a game if I didn't actually complete it. But at the same time, if it was really like amazing, I would have finished it.
How many bosses did you get in? Because apparently there's like a fucking shitload.
Yeah, I probably fought like at least 15 bosses.
Oh, okay.
Probably.
So you got around a little bit then.
Yeah. I put in some hours for sure. I think the thing that hurt the game the most for me, and I think it's one of the reasons why some people really loved it was exactly what I was talking about before. It's just too open world. It's too choose your own adventure, which I can appreciate, especially for a game like that. But the game is so big, and it's so like
it's overwhelming. Like the choices are overwhelming.
It's
like
overwhelming.
Too much selection.
Yeah, and you'll get to certain bosses that you're just not ready for, and I don't really like that. I don't like going and fighting a boss and spending hours on it to realize like, hey, I'm severely underleveled, or I'm severely underskilled to be here. And then there's a lot of backtracking, and it's just, I don't know, the pace of it. I liked the Dark Souls experience where you're kind of progressing through the game, and then you're kind of hitting the bosses that you belong at.
And there's like some choice, but it's not like choice.
It's not like
40 different fucking branching paths that you can take.
You start the game and it literally just drops you off. You can pretty much go anywhere you want. Like obviously there's a few places that you can't go, but like you can pretty much go wherever you want.
So is the analogy for this like when you go to a restaurant, you like going to a place where you got a menu, but it's not a huge menu. There's not 48 pages there. You know what you're getting for the most part when you get there. You get to choose what you want. You got some selection, but it's pretty railroaded as to what you're going to get at this restaurant. Like going to the Cut. You know you're getting the steak when you go to the Cut. Yeah. You might not know exactly what else you're going to get there for sides and everything else, but you're going to the Cut for a steak. And then there's the type of people that are like, fuck that shit. I want to go to an all-you-can-eat buffet that has about every cuisine known to man, and there's 48 rows of fucking hot plates. And you don't know, there's breakfast food, lunch food, dinner food, desserts, fresh fruit and vegetables, some cooked, some steamed, some poached, baked, fried. You go into a dark corner like the one that used to be out in Bayers Lake. You'd go into the fucking like dark corner with like nothing but red lights that looked like you were in a fucking photo room. And that's where they kept all the like mastodon fucking like meat legs and shit. And you'd walk out of there looking like a caveman playing baseball with a fucking a zebra's fucking thigh. And like shit like this is just endless. And that's great, because on paper you're like, well, fuck me, I can get whatever I want. But when you get there and you're looking at this field of food,
it's too much, man. It's too much selection, and it's just too much. Like, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I think it's just too much. You know, give me if you're gonna have an all-you-can-eat buffet, at least keep it the same genre of food. You know, just like a Mexican all-you-can-eat buffet or a whatever. And it's not even that the game is bad. I think mechanically the game is sound and it's a beautiful looking game. I mean, it's very impressive the stuff they've done with it. Like it deserves Game of the Year. But Jesus, man, it's I guess I'm just like, I'm old school. I'm just stuck in my ways as a gamer,
Well, I mean, everyone's got their shit, right? Some people like it super open. Some people like it railroaded a lot more. Like we talked about this last week. You're a Final Fantasy 13 fan for that reason. Maybe we did agree. Maybe a little bit more than Final Fantasy 13.
Yeah, just a little bit more not linear. Like Final Fantasy 13 was a little too linear. This one is it's way too open world. It's just way too. It's too open. And also, since it's so open, like you get lost. Like you're just kind of running around for a long time, and then you fight the same creeps over and over and over and over and over again. Like you'll leave an area, you'll come back, and they're in the same spots, in the same positions, the same things, and it's kind of meh. Overall, it's like it's like they had a really great concept. They have like a really solid 8 hours of gameplay, and then they're like, let's just multiply that by 10 and just kind of spread it out. Because even all the bosses feel very similar. It just felt very, I don't know. It almost, I don't want to say rushed, but it just felt.
Did it feel like when they sat down and said, all right, we have to make this open world and we have to have like 50 bosses, that maybe they were just shooting a little high, and then it was hard to not. It's because you have 50 bosses, especially when you've already done. Because some people that are on Elden Ring were guaranteed to have done at least one other Souls-like game from FromSoft in the past. So, like, how difficult does it get for them to eventually finally get to a point where their bosses don't start to feel samey, right? Like at some point, they're going to feel samey. It's hard to avoid that, right?
Yeah. And the bosses were, I mean, it could be because I've gotten better, but the bosses were fairly easy too. Like it didn't take a whole lot of skill to beat the vast majority of these bosses. And they've got like summons now, and you can like, it just makes the game a lot easier. But yeah, overall, I know I've been kind of harping on the game. It's a great game. So I had fun with it. I just didn't have the patience to sit around for 50, 60 hours. There isn't a lot of games. It's not even Elden Ring. It could be a fucking any game really at this point. I just don't have 50 or 60 hours of commitment to play a single player game. Multiplayer game, yeah, I can easily put in 50, 60, 100, 200, 300 hours over a period of time. But to play a story mode for 50, 60 hours, I don't have time for that shit.
Is some of that because when you do have to take an extended break, you come back, you feel like you're completely fucking lost as to where you last were, or is it that it just takes so long for you to get through the whole game that you lose interest in the story because like after a while it's just not as interesting, like you just kind of like lose your will?
I think it's a little bit of column A and column B, and then also I just think it's like I just don't have a whole lot of free time anyway. And I guess, I mean, who am I kidding? Like, if I was streaming the game and it was like blowing up in numbers and stuff, like obviously I'll fucking play the game for 50, 60. I'll play it for 300-400 hours, if I'm fucking making money off it. But like, that's because I'm making money off it. Like, I got to be honest with myself. Am I going to sit there and play the game for free, like, and pay for it, and then play it, not get paid? The answer is yes, but not for 50, 60, 70, 80 hours. I'm just not doing it.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, that's actually kind of like my concern. I haven't played Elden Ring yet. I'm saving it. I'm saving it for when I'm out of the, into the new place, and it will be probably one of the first not multiplayer games that I will sit down and play that are newer when that happens. And my concerns, I'm a little bit more tolerant to open world stuff because my favorite series is, Elder Scrolls. But Elder Scrolls also does a really good job of giving you an open world, but still railroading you in ways. And my concern is the moment that you take like some of those limitations off, and it sounds like maybe that's what Elden Ring is like. It's literally just
that's it.
Have at it.
Go. Good luck.
So we'll see. Maybe I'll like it. Maybe I won't. I'll have to wait and find out. But yeah. Either way, I would be shocked if Elden Ring doesn't take fucking Game of the Year. That would be very, very surprising to me indeed. Although we did have upsets before. Last year was what? It Takes Two. That indie game won last year. So you never know. Also related to the Game Awards, they announced, all the categories, and the Content Creator of the Year nomination list was released. And even though I feel like it's there because I think that Jeff Keighley, well, I know Jeff Keighley liked the guy. I feel like it was almost like if they didn't, they were afraid that they would have people yell at them. But Nibelian, actually, the Nibel, the guy that stepped away from Twitter a couple weeks ago, that every gaming podcast on Earth got fucked for when he left, is on that list. We'll see what comes out. I doubt he's going to win, but he's on the list. And otherwise, other than that, I don't have the rest of the people here, but it's the usual fucking suspects. It's content creator of the year, it's the usual fucking people. Really, the list could be reduced to like Mr. Beast, fucking Ludwig, XQC, Cuties, Cinderella. Call it a day. That's like the. It's like it's the same. It's gonna be like the same. Fucking. What's her name? Oh my god, how do I? It's probably a good thing I don't remember her name. Anyway, it's like the same fucking like 7 people on rotation. Lastly, for gaming news, in news that I didn't expect to see, Mr. Black, Sonic the Hedgehog's original series alumnus, Yuji Naka. Pokimane is who I'm thinking of, yeah. She might be on the list. I have no fucking clue. Yuji Naka has been reportedly arrested during an insider trading investigation at Square Enix, which was I guess specifically for his instance about something to do with the Dragon Quest series. I don't know if it was the mobile version of Dragon Quest or what. But yeah, straight up fucking arrested for insider trading. There you go. I didn't know there was enough money in anything that Square Enix made other than Final Fantasy XIV to warrant any amount of insider trading, but evidently it happened. And now Mr. Yuji Naka is, as Dapier said, he didn't go fast enough. Should have tried harder. And that's all I got for gaming news this week, Mr. Black. Which means it's time to sell out and tell the world, especially Blizzard, now that they're kicked out of China, how they might be able to get back in with our sponsor.
Well, you can do it. You can do it by getting NordVPN. Blizzard. You can go to nordvpn.com/OTT. Use the promo code OTT and get yourself a massive discount plus 4 bonus months. And it does work in China. All right. So you can go ahead, mask your IP, try and get your games in there. Good luck with that, Blizzard, because you're going to need it. But for those that are watching and listening, you can stay safe and anonymous when you're on the internet, whether you're at home or you're traveling, you're at a friend's house, Starbucks, on the airplane, doesn't matter where you're at. You can use the app. They have it for your Mac, your PC, your smartphone, your TV. You can hook it directly up to your router. There's no programming needed whatsoever. So all you have to do is a click of a button and you're in and you're good. The servers are quick, fast, reliable. They're always open, ready to go. So make sure that you guys go check them out. Use that promo code OTT. What was I going to say? I'm having a bit of a brain fart. I'm not going to lie.
I've had 4 or 5 of those today so far.
Yeah. Listen, guys, just go down there and take a look at what they have to offer. All right. Cause it's, that's where I'm at, man. That's where I'm at. Listen, it's Friday. I'm not used to selling out on a Friday. All right. I'm not who I used to be, guys. I'm not who I used to be. Used to be on the ball, be able to sell out real easy. Guys, NordVPN. All right. Use that promo code. Support the sponsor. Support the stream. Support yourself. Guys, watch different regions of Netflix. Click of a button. Watch different streaming content. Because I know you get locked out, whether it's on YouTube, Twitter, websites, not available in this region. It is when you got NordVPN, the click of a button. Guys, it's less than a cup of coffee a month. Straight up. So make it happen. Think about it. And if you're up for renewal, use the promo code OTT. And that's it.
There it is. Bro, first of all, it's time for
movies and TV.
The brain farts are real. Today, I'm with you. When we were out, we got the flu shot or whatever, and then we had to go get a little bit of groceries. And I was about 3/4 of the way home. And despite being in a grocery store for like 45 minutes, I had to actively try to remember any part of that 45 minutes of being in the grocery store. I was in the car and I thought, where was I just at? Where am I coming from? And I actually sat there, I started getting concerned. I was like, I know I was somewhere. Where the fuck was I? And then eventually I was like, oh wait, I look back, I see grocery bags. I'm like, right, the grocery store.
Yeah.
So I'm with you. The brain, just sometimes you wake up, the brain does not follow suit. It stays in bed all day. I can sympathize. Looks like Tom Holland won't be going anywhere, as reports came in this week that he has re-signed to play Spider-Man at least one more time. Although with a movie deal like this, or with Spider-Man, I doubt it's just one. It's probably multiple. But for now, at least one. Which is good. I mean, I guess I've never been a big Spider-Man movie guy. But I know you've seen them all. Where's Tom Holland rank for you in the Spider-Man pantheon in modern Spider-Man? Because we've had a few.
Yeah, that's a tough one. That's a tough one.
So he doesn't sound like he's number one.
I don't think so, man.
Whoa,
I don't think so.
That's the spiciest take of the day right there.
I don't think it's that spicy, man. I think Tobey Maguire is pretty iconic. And I also think Andrew Garfield, the best actor out of all three of them.
I can see that.
But substantially.
Yeah.
And I think Andrew Andrew Garfield, I think if Andrew Garfield was given the same material that Tom Holland was given,
that's like the dream.
Easily number one. Easily. I just think Andrew Garfield got the shitty end of the stick. I think if Andrew Garfield came back as like the Spider-Man, I think it would be celebrated. I do like Tom Holland. I like him a great deal. I think Tom Holland is a great. I think
he's a really good all-around talent, right? I mean, the dude can dance. He can do he's like he'll probably do Broadway later in life or some shit kind of a deal.
Yeah, I think Tom Holland is a really good Spider-Man. I'm not totally sold on the Peter Parker part.
What if we did this? Who's the best Spidey? Who's the best Peter? Does that change things up?
The best Peter. Oof. I think the best Peter Parker is Tobey Maguire. And I think the best Spider-Man. Oh man, it's hard. I want to say Tom Holland, because I think he's just the most naturally gifted in terms of like the things that you just said from an action standpoint. I also like Tom Holland's energy. Like I like his voice as Spider-Man, but also Tom Holland is just so fresh on my mind as Spider-Man. So, but there's just something about Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man that's just, for me, and it's because it's what I grew up with. And there's just something about Tobey Maguire that was very
he's definitely the right kind of like awkward for playing Peter, right? Like he's definitely, of the three guys, he's the least suave. He's not, you look at him and this is no slight to the guy, there is not a single ounce of suave that comes off of Tobey Maguire. And like that's why like in the movies like the dancing meme and all that shit came out of that shit, because but it's perfect for a Peter Parker in the comic book sense in that regard, where he's kind of like the awkward guy. But as the Spider-Man, man,
I actually think Tom Holland's the worst Spider-Man.
Or is he the worst, or is he just that he's the mid for Peter and Spidey, where the other two are the best of the others?
I think Tobey did better, and I think Andrew Garfield did better. I think Tom Holland has gotten so much help from the big MCU and all the big stars around him.
That's fair.
And I also think, Zendaya is a big part of the Spider-Man success as well. I think if you just take Tom Holland as just a Spider-Man with no major huge time co-stars and Avengers and all this other stuff, I think he's the worst. But with that being said, I still really like Tom Holland. I think they all do a good job. If you're putting me on the spot,
That's fair.
I don't think he's it, man. I don't think he's the one.
Speaking of the Avengers, then when it comes to Spider-Man, the Spidey in the Avengers is canonically like the super young, barely started Spider-Man, right? Like that.
Yes.
So, what age of Spider-Man did Garfield play when he was doing the films? Would he have been able to pull off, for example, the "I don't feel so good" Mr. Stark, as well as a Tom Holland?
Yeah, I mean, Tom Holland did a really good job at in that scene. Like, Tom Holland's good, man. He's good, and he can act. Like, Tom Holland's a better actor than Tobey Maguire, for sure.
Yeah.
But Andrew Garfield, like, trumps them both, for sure. He's a way better dramatic actor. I just think Tom Holland. I don't know. Maybe I just don't resonate with this version of Tom Holland, of Spider-Man as much as the other two. The other two were a bit more mature. But I will say, in the last Spider-Man movie, Tom Holland did a bang-up job at acting. But man, Andrew Garfield stole the fucking show. Like, even in the dramatic scenes that Tom Holland has, and Andrew Garfield is there. I mean, shit, even Tobey Maguire acted really well in this movie. They all did a good job. But Andrew Garfield, dude, that guy came in and he basically said, I got fucked on my Spider-Man run, so I'm coming back and I'm going to make it whole, and I'm just going to outperform everybody. And I think that's what he did, man. I think he stole the show.
So here's a weird comparison for you, just for fun. So and I only say this because when you first started framing this, you were talking about how if Toby or Garfield got the same treatment for the script, the writing, the star power, all that stuff, if that had come together for him in the same way, maybe it would have been different. Maybe they would have been able to do an even better job. If you had to say which of the three, or which of those two, Maguire or Garfield, who is the Pierce Brosnan in this situation, where everyone always points at like Pierce Brosnan's 007 portrayal in the 90s, and look at the writing in those movies in the 90s, and then say, well, if you took Pierce Brosnan and gave it the treatment that the modern guys got, or fucking specifically Daniel Craig, are we having the same conversation?
Garfield.
It's Garfield
for sure. Garfield got fucked. That whole Amazing Spider-Man thing, he just got fucked on. The scripts weren't that good. The villains were pretty bad. It was just a weird time.
Was he just one? Was he just one film, Garfield? Two. Okay.
The Tobey Maguire. Here's the thing. I think Tom Holland does a better job than Tobey Maguire with the current MCU. So if you took Tobey Maguire and put him in place of Tom Holland does a better job.
Okay.
He does a better job. I think he does a better job at connecting with the audience in terms of like this generation. I think he does a better job with the action. I think he does a better job with the collaborative work and kind of being a side character amongst the Avengers and stuff. There's just an innocence to Tom Holland that Tobey Maguire couldn't do. But I believe if Andrew Garfield was put in the same position as Tom Holland, that Andrew Garfield would be an even more celebrated Spider-Man than Tom Holland.
But could he have done as good a job doing Rihanna's Umbrella?
No. No. Tom Holland is a hell of a dancer and an entertainer for sure.
That show peaked when Tom Holland came out and did Umbrella. There was no more up. That buried that show. They should never have shown it. That should have been the finale of the entire show. As soon as that came up.
Yeah, I'm gonna change. The more I talk about it, I'm gonna change my answer. I think. Oh
Andrew my
Garfield,
God! Okay.
I think Andrew Garfield might actually be the best Spider-Man ever. And I double down on that after seeing what he's done in the latest movie. I actually think Garfield is a superior Spider-Man and Peter Parker than both of them. But they all do a phenomenal job. I think Tobey Maguire's campiness of like the early 2000s, I think that worked. I think Andrew Garfield worked, but the scripts and the studio didn't know it was. And then the Tom Holland stuff just works because like they just knew what was going on. But you put Andrew Garfield where Tom Holland is, I think they're even better.
I wish I could say more about it from my side. All I can say is that I do think that Garfield is the superior actor. That's about all I can say about it. The obvious. So I think Garfield's the better actor overall. I don't think he crushes Tom Holland acting, but I think he is better overall. And then obviously Tom Holland is the better.
I think he's significant better.
Really? Do you think he's significantly better?
I think he's on a whole nother level.
Do you think some of that's actually just like age difference and experience? Do you think Holland's got it in him, or do you think he's going to be forever just like the boyish guy
I think Tom Holland is a fine actor. He's totally fine. Just I've watched the vast majority of Andrew Garfield's work, and I'm telling you, he is on a whole, like if there is a like Tom Holland is Leonardo DiCaprio level of an actor.
Okay.
He's like
I mean, that's high up there. That shit's fucking high up there.
He's that good.
Okay.
He's that fucking good. Tom Holland is like the level of like, oh man.
Fuck you. I mean, you just pegged Leo, so now where do you go from there?
Tom Holland is kind of like the level of, oh shit.
You might have painted yourself in a corner on that one.
I'm gonna have to think about it. Ooh. I'm trying to think. I'll think about it. But Andrew Garfield, you could put him in a Martin Scorsese film, and he's gonna do just fine. You put Tom Holland in there, he's gonna feel out of place.
Okay, I see what you mean.
Like, Andrew Garfield's an actor's actor.
All right,
like,
okay, I get you.
He's an actor. Like, Tom Holland is now like a Hollywood kind of.
So you know what I would say? I would say Garfield is Leo, and I would say Holland is Damon. Matt Damon, in terms of levels.
Matt Damon?
Because I put Damon just like, for the reasons you're stating. I think if you put Matt Damon in a Scorsese, he can make it work, but he's not necessarily that guy. Whereas if you put Leo in a Scorsese, clearly Leo is going to be that guy. And Damon's a fucking phenomenal writer and producer and all that shit, but I put him just a fucking cock hair below Leo. If that's if you're talking about an actor's actor and not just an overall talent, like if I had to pick a guy to do production or writing, I'm choosing Matt Damon over Leo. But if I need an actor's actor, I'm going in that age range anyway. I'm going Leo.
Yeah, I'm not gonna argue with that opinion. I think it's a fair one. But yeah. Anyway, Andrew Garfield, come back to Spider-Man, and all will be like all will be well.
Do you think there's a chance that they actually would bring him back? Yeah,
100%. Yes.
Okay.
Especially with the multiverses and all these different Spider-Man. I actually think that if Tom Holland only does one more Spider-Man movie,
Garfield's next up.
I actually think Andrew Garfield might come back. Like, I think that he might actually, and he would do it. But it would suck to see Tom Holland go. I like Tom Holland as Spider-Man, so bring them all back. Bring the last Spider-Man movie was amazing. Like, bring them all back.
Do you think that before Tom Holland hangs up the suit that they'll bring him out to do to try and do a mature Spider-Man with Tom Holland, or do you think they'll forever kind of try and keep him in that babyface pocket? You know what I mean?
No, I think in the last Spider-Man movie we started to see it.
they're starting to build into that.
The more mature Spider-Man. So I think the next movie that we get, it isn't going to be this like wide-eyed Spider-Man, like, oh, whoa, oh, you know. I think he's seasoned now. There's been death. There's been, you know, he's just been through it. So, you know, I do like the arc of this current Spider-Man. I think, yeah. Anyway, enough of Spider-Man.
There you go. Not particularly happy news, to say the least, but sadly for many, the voice of Batman, Kevin Conroy, passed away this week after many years of battling intestinal cancer. He was 66 years of age. For me, if we're talking Batmans, he is Batman to me for the voice, easily. I think he did everything you could hope for what Batman is in my mind. Like, the animated series is Batman to me. None of the modern movies ever actually really felt like Batman to me the same way the animated series did, in terms of a great number of things. I think the animated series did everything Batman better than any of the movies ever did, in terms of humanizing Batman, showing the range of Batman as a character, from his own personal battles to trying to actually be the superhero. I think that they did the best job at interacting Batman with the villains without making it feel like Batman was the side character and the villain was the main player, which has always been my main not concern, but my gripe with the modern Batman films, is every villain always outshines the Batman, and Batman always feels like it's taking a back seat to the villains. So for me, Conroy's easily Batman, and it doesn't hurt that you get to hear you get to hear Mark Hamill be the Joker alongside of Conroy's Batman. What a fucking, no pun intended, dynamic duo for that show. And yeah, sad, 66 years of age, intestinal cancer. But I think it was many years he's been battling that, and that's a tough one, and an all too common one, which is, as two men getting to that age as well, if you're in this age group, for the love of God, make sure that every, once in a while, every year or two, you get in and get your shit checked. Have your colonoscopies. Nobody likes it. It's not fun, but do it. Get screened for that shit. Because it is an increasingly common disease that is not fun to have to combat. But yeah, sadly lost him this week. And of course, just about every voice actor on the planet came out and fucking mourned that, because he was such a phenomenal talent. Other than that, any other movie and TV news? Em and I got one episode of House of Dragon left. We are one last episode to go. Spoiler alert, it's fucking good.
It is good.
I have nothing to. I don't think I have really. I don't think I have a. Well, that yeah. The births, they at least the after the first one, they didn't like have to show in great detail everything that was going on. But yeah, lots of births, and I will say that after watching the first season of The Witcher and how they fumbled time jumps, this was a really well done show for all the time jumping that they did. It was not confusing. I immediately knew what was going on. I wasn't ever sitting there going, what timeline are we in? Where in the fuck are we? Like, they did a really good job with it. And I look forward to seeing this last episode and see how it all comes to a head before we have to wait another 6 years for the next fucking season. Which is the worst part about Game of Thrones, is that there's always like a 2-year fucking time lapse between seasons. I think it's 2 years, isn't it? Like, we're gonna have to wait.
Yeah.
It's not. Yeah. That's all.
I think 2024. Fuck. Yeah.
You basically have to rewatch the whole fucking show before the next one comes out. So long in between seasons.
Yep.
But yeah, very good. And we already talked about how apparently last week you were regaling me with how amazing Love is Blind is. I told Em about this yesterday, because tomorrow Em and I are just spending the whole day together because she leaves on Sunday.
Oh, Love is Blind. That's a quick binge, man.
And I said, do you want to binge that? And she said, when I get back, I don't want to leave here stressed. I was like, fair. Okay. Yes. I understand. As entertaining as those shows are, it can be stressful to watch the people burning like a dumpster fire for episodes on end. So we'll check that out when she returns. But yeah, other than that, I don't think there was too much. Did you see Black Panther yet? I think you said you went and got a morning viewing in.
I did.
And how did you feel about Wakanda Forever?
I liked it. I have to see it again.
Okay.
There are decisions that they made that I loved, and then there's decisions that they made that I hated.
Okay.
I did not leave the theater as amped as I did the first one. But at the same time, I can appreciate what they did and how they did it. I really loved the villain, the Namor or Namor. Even though they call him Namor and Namor in the movies. I really, really like that villain. It's really, he's not even really an anti-hero. He's actually a villain in the movie. And you can relate to him. You know why he's doing the things that he's doing, and you can also agree with what he's doing. There's a character, Ironheart. I think it's like Riri Williams or whatever. I couldn't stand that character. She had no business even being in the movie. They only brought her in so that they can promote this Ironheart show that's coming out. And that whole arc was basically pointless, in my opinion. Like, I know why she was there. I get it. But, like, the movie could have been 20 minutes shorter without her in there, and it probably would have done the movie justice. I know a lot of people complained about the length of the film. It's long. Like, you're in the theater for about 3 hours. Like, it's 2 hours and 41 minutes or 44 minutes or something.
Okay.
So it's a long movie, but that part didn't actually bug me any, because I was thoroughly entertained pretty much the whole way through. It's a pretty emotional movie, especially the first 10 minutes and the last 10 minutes. It's pretty intense. But with that being said, there's just some fundamental decisions that they made that I'm like, God damn, like, why did you do that? This movie could have been like epic. The send-off wasn't as impactful as, say, Fast and the Furious was for Paul Walker.
Dude, they hit that so fucking well, though. That fucking Paul Walker, my God.
They did. And I think they got about 70% of the way there.
Which is pretty good when you consider how good the send-off for Walker was, yeah.
Yes, which was pretty good, especially since they didn't use any, like, digital, like they did with Paul Walker. The thing was, with Paul Walker, is they were still filming the movie when he passed away. You know, this one, he was already gone. So, before they started filming. So, you know, the challenge was definitely different. But yeah, it's hard for me to talk about it without giving spoilers. So I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
You know, but in a future podcast, we can sit down and talk about the things that, you know, we really liked or didn't like. But overall, like, I left the theater saying like a 7, but now that I really think about it, it's more of an 8. And I think if I watched it again, it might go up a little bit more. But you can definitely feel Chadwick Boseman's presence not being there. But you could, I think what made it really emotional, like the movie itself, is the actors. You can clearly see the pain, and like, it's not even acting. Like, there are things within this movie I can't spoil, but there are things, even the way that they explain Black Panther's demise and stuff, it's very real. And they did it in such a way that was still respectful, where they're not kind of capitalizing on his death or using it as a tool to elevate the movie. They were very respectful. But like, the whole movie is about loss and grief and how different people grieve in their own ways, and some go a path and some take a different one, and then you've got the queen kind of holding the whole thing together, which Angela Bassett is an absolute goddess, and she is, I mean, wow, she has like 3 incredible scenes in this movie. Like one of them is like she can get nominated for an Oscar. It's so powerful. Like those things alone is worth a movie ticket. But it's still a Marvel movie, and you know they just
So
get in, they just
like
get in the-
formulaic Marvel kind of thing.
It's pretty formulaic, but what's nice is, and I later on that night, I actually watched the new Thor: Love and Thunder for the first time
Oh, okay.
here at home, and Black Panther 2 is a better movie, without a doubt. The Love and Thunder it's almost like watching a parody of Thor, and then I had my guard up so much that like I didn't really enjoy the movie until about an hour and 30 minutes in, where I'm like, okay, just let your guard down, Jeff, and just go with this, because like, and once I did that, like I was enjoying the movie a lot more, and I didn't hate it, but like, man, what a fall from grace it was to go from Ragnarok to Love and Thunder. I mean, geez, it's like Ragnarok's like a 9.5. This is like a 6. Like it's completely.
I saw a clip from The Love and Thunder just like 3 days ago, and somebody said, "Why does this look like a PlayStation 5 commercial?" And it was the scene. It was a scene where Thor, and I don't know who the girl is, but she's wielding, like, she's got like this fucking massive hammer, and they're running out of, like, I don't know, it looks like a fucking cottage or some shit, and they're running out, and it's all in slow motion, and it just looks. They said a PlayStation 5 commercial. The shit looked like a fucking PlayStation 5 commercial.
Well, and I even said that when Kayla and I was watching the movie. I'm like, look at the way this is filmed. It looks like number one, it looks like they're on a green screen, which they are. But like it looks like a parody. It's almost like if Marvel were to make a movie that was so self-aware, and they were almost making fun of themselves, but at the same time, there was a level of seriousness to it. It's just kind of hard to explain. And it took a long time. It literally took about an hour and a half into the movie where I just let my guard down. I said, okay, Jeff, stop. This is obviously not you just left Black Panther 2. And like, this is not the Marvel that is for you. But like, just let it go and enjoy it. And when I did that, I didn't mind it. Like, I'm not, anyway.
It definitely looks campy though. Like
it was super campy. It was Taika Waititi just going to Taika Waititi. It was too much. It was too much.
Never go full Taika Waititi. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it was almost, and even like the Guardians that were in it, like even their scenes was very like, it was very campy. It was very like the bad jokes, it was just bad. Although there was goats in this, that was like the funniest part of the movie, and it was like sort of this reoccurring thing. That
joke
part was funny as fuck, and I laughed every time. And I was pretty fucking high when I watched the movie too. And like for me to still not really enjoy it all that much when
that's
like
unfortunate.
I'm super, I'm basically baked. I wasn't smoking weed, but like I took some oils and stuff before I go to bed.
Yeah.
And like that night, I had taken a little bit more than I normally do. So I was like, I was feeling pretty good. Like I was like, I was eating a bunch of junk food. I'm sitting there watching. I just want to laugh, and it's like, I still didn't overly enjoy the movie.
That's unfortunate.
So yeah, but Black Panther 2, good, not great, but good. And it was nice because it was back to the Marvel that I like. It was like sort of this serious Marvel. You've got a couple of characters that are like putting in the Marvel jokes. The jokes kind of worked. So it wasn't like this stupid forced Marvel shit where they're trying to like everyone's being a comedian. There was only like maybe 2 characters that actually, really came in with the punchlines, and they were hitting for the most part. So that was nice. But overall, 8.
Okay. That's pretty good. 8 is a good number.
It's good. Second best Marvel movie of the year.
What was the first?
Shang-Chi.
Oh, fuck, that was this year?
Yeah, I think it was the beginning of this year.
Time really doesn't fucking mean anything. Anyway, if you told me that, I'd be like, oh yeah, that came out like last November. All right, well, that's all for movies and TV, I think, which means it's time to squeak in a little bit of
tax a purport.
Patreon.com/LagTV is the place to go if you want to financially support the podcast. For $10 or more a month, you get a couple of things. Chiefly, you get to ask us a question each and every week on a post I put up of a podcast called Tech Sport. You ask the questions, we have the answers. Henry asks, what's one hobby you've always wanted to get into, but it seems too expensive to start? He says, mine is metal forging. There are some items you need to buy for metal forging that, now you're talking about an entire garage just dedicated to metal forging. So yes, that would be expensive, for sure. But yeah, do you have anything that you've ever looked at as a hobby and you were like, man, I just can't justify how fucking expensive that would be to get into it?
No. I'm just going to be honest. I can pretty much afford to do whatever I want.
True.
So if there, I'm not
back in the day though, was there what was the thing before you had the dollars to do it? Was there anything that you like kind of wanted to get into but you never did at the time because it was just going to be too crazy?
I think the closest thing is golf. It's probably the closest thing. But I did pick it up and I did play for a long time.
Yep.
My mom, she paid for it and she couldn't afford to do it for sure, but she
golf
and
is
the
still
golf course
fucking
that we went
expensive.
to. Oh yeah, it's even more expensive now.
Yeah.
But like as a young adult, so like when I was in my 19, 20, 21, I still loved golf and I had friends that would go golfing all the time, but like I just couldn't do it as much as I wanted to because it was so expensive. Same with paintballing. Like as a kid, I was really into paintballing. It was pretty cheap as a kid, but like as an adult, you start getting that was also pretty expensive. But I can't really think of anything. Like that's the thing. Like the way I live my life now is, for example, if I really wanted to golf, and it was going to cost me, I don't know, $5,000 a year to golf, I would just go do it. It's expensive and it's a lot of money, but if it's something I really want to do, I'm gonna go and do it.
$5,000 for a primary hobby is actually not insane.
It's not insane, but it's still a decent amount of money.
That's a lot of money, but it's not like there are some hobbies where if it's your primary bitch.
Yeah. But I would imagine golf, you probably spend about $5,000 for the season. Like if you're going to go out and you're going to, pay $100, $120, $130 round of golf, and you're going to do that, 4 or 5 times a week, not including any lessons or driving ranges or equipment, gear, travel, probably spending $5,000 is it's probably how much it would cost.
Oh, for sure.
For us, that it's very seasonal here. But if you lived in
California
I was about to
or
say,
something,
if you're, you could probably be spending $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 a year to play on these courses. And now, now that type of money, now I'm going, okay, even today I'm going, okay, I don't know about, maybe when I retire, but now, no, that's like a down payment for a house or a property every year.
Yeah, that's getting crazy.
Too much.
That's getting crazy. Yeah, I don't know. I've never had any. There's not been a lot of hobbies that I've been interested in that are crazy. Golf is probably the best example, and even then, like Jeff was saying, when we were younger, especially because it's seasonal here, and the courses we went to weren't insane. We could have. I mean, it's not that there aren't courses here in the city that you couldn't go to and spend $350 a round on. That totally 100% exists here. But that wasn't where we were going. We were going somewhere that was $30-$45 a round on a high end, and that's where we golfed, and so that was fine. So beyond that, I mean, I've never been super. I'd say probably if there was anything that I never got into that might have been too expensive, maybe it would just have been collectible cards and shit. Because I've always been, but the reason why it would be even worse for me is because it's the cardboard crack. It's opening a booster pack. So if you're gonna actually collect cards, you don't go out and buy a fucking whole box. Maybe you do it once when the series first comes out. Then you go to a local boutique store and you buy singles. You're not fucking let me roll the dice on 50,000 packs of fucking boosters and open that shit. So it's a little different. But that shit, we did that when we were young too. But there was a ceiling to it because you can only go through so much fucking money with that shit. Convince your parents. And back then, a booster was like $4.99. I don't know what a booster is now, but it ain't $4.99. I'm almost positive.
Yeah.
It's a different animal entirely. So, but I've never been like into figure painting. Like Warhammer was never a thing that interests me. I know Warhammer is where your money goes to die. Like that's a really fucking bad one. People spend a shitload of money on it. Even if you're just playing Magic the Gathering at anything above a super casual level, you're looking at $500, $600, $700 for a deck.
Yeah.
And that shit changes with relative frequency and depending on the style of play that you're doing. So, things like, but that thankfully, that was never of interest to me. So I think I avoided it.
If I had to pick a thing now that would be like, okay, it's a bit too expensive, would be just a lot of travel.
Yeah,
just to just travel, see different parts of the world.
Dude, it took no time for prices on airplane shit to go fucking bonkers.
Oh yeah, bro. Well, actually, what's nice is now we've got Flare and we've got Spirit. I think it's Flare and Spirit.
Yeah, Spirit to get like down south.
No, like here in Canada. So
yeah. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah,
we've got, dude. When I went to Montreal, it was $158 return.
Holy shit!
$158. I'm flying to Toronto on Monday.
Was the airplane safe to be in?
Yeah, bro. And you can't fly first class. There's like they're old planes, but bro,
it's a 2-hour flight. I mean, what do you really?
It was an hour and 40-minute flight. And it cost me $158. Now, I didn't have any checked bags. I only had a book bag with a extra.
But you just had $50 if you're checking a bag.
$25. $25, and that's return.
Damn.
Bro,
Damn.
Anywhere in Canada. So like to fly from here to BC would cost me $200.
Wow.
Return.
How are they getting enough volume for that though? That's insane.
The flights are jam-packed every time.
Well, they would be. My God.
Sold out every flight. And it's incredible. Like I can't believe and of course, the powers that be are trying to get them to, because of the way that they've raised money out of Canada, and so now they've got to change how they're where they get their investors or something. I could be talking a little bit of my ass, but like the other
regulatory bodies are interested in how they're only charging $170 or whatever for a
correct, and it's undermining the other airlines by like 3-4 times. Like
I was about to say, like that's normally that would be a cheap flight to Montreal would be like $400.
Yes,
and that's cheap. That's cheap. Like you could spend $700, $800.
On average, to go to Montreal is between $500 and $600 if you go to Air Canada, WestJet, or any of those. These guys, bro, I'm super cheap.
That's cheaper than Porter, and Porter was like the first one that came in and really fucked the game up. For the others.
Planes were fine.
Shit.
Service was great. You're getting bare minimal. You don't get a plug for your phone. You don't get, your seat doesn't go back very far.
It's a 2-hour flight,
bro, and it
doesn't matter.
$158.
Holy shit!
It's basically like, dude, I spent more money in gas going to fucking Truro.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Back.
Yeah. 100%.
I'm not joking.
Oh,
like,
no
that's
question.
Literally like what it is.
Well, the truck's probably $350 right now
each way. Yeah, it's nuts. It's literally nuts.
Yeah, we were looking at our flights for Philippines next year, trying to book ahead of time, and just looking for deals. Black Friday, and do the typical this day of the week where Batman's jerking off in your front yard during the rains and all that, like whatever fucking voodoo shit you got to get, using like a fucking VPN, nordvpn.com/OTT, using a fucking like onion browser, trying to get away from them giving you these crazy expensive flights.
Yep. Now you're just gonna get reamed. You go to the Philippines, you're getting reamed, bro. Get ready to spend thousands.
Bro.
Get ready.
A single return ticket is like $3,000 plus.
Yep.
And that's without like your stay
bro, you
there
fly
or
to the
anything.
Philippines, you better do all the things that you need to do.
We're doing
trip.
it.
You better do it all. You better do it all.
She's got this thing fucking scheduled out. I'm gonna be sour because I'm gonna be crammed into like fucking like sardine can shit for like we're all over the place.
You're gonna stand out like a fucking sore thumb. You're gonna be like this 6'6" fucking giant, pasty ass white dude coming through the Philippines. Can't fucking fit in a fucking one of them little mini vehicles they got going around in the streets. You'll be on fucking pedal bikes. Your knees will be touching your fucking chin. You're gonna be salty sitting on a flight for like fucking 14 hours. You're just gonna be like, God damn. I'm doing this one time, honey. You better get all of the shit you need to do.
Whoa.
You better.
With the expense, even she looked at it and she said, this only going to happen once every 2 or 3 years. I said, yeah.
Yeah, make it 5.
Because it's like, by the time we pay for like, and we're not going like crazy. We're getting like, 3-star. We're not going for 5. Like just whatever the fuck. Because most of them are on a beach anyway. Like you're literally sleeping on a beach because you're in the Philippines. And so, and even then, I think the total trip cost is going to be damn near 10 grand by the time it's all said and done.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Jeff, I don't have $10,000 right now. I'm just going to let you know that right now. I don't have $10,000. I just had to pay my Tyler $1,100 to fucking lay herringbone in the fucking entryway. I don't have $10,000 to fucking go to the Philippines. I'm going to have to start selling whatever's left of this body. Fucking
OnlyFans,
make the magic happen.
OnlyFans.
All right, one last question because I know you got to get out of here. Let's see. Oh, Jesus Christ. No, we're not going there. Okay. There's 3 here that I'm trying to debate between. So Neil asks, have you considered investing in a flamethrower to deal with the 10 trillion tons of white bullshit the winter has in store? He said, I live in the foothills and I'm never happy to have to shovel snow. Dude, flamethrower sounds fun.
You want to know something? About 2 days ago, I sat down and bro, I'm not joking.
Are you pricing out having somebody else come shovel your driveway right now?
Oh, no. That's already happening.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah, bro. That happens anyway. Ain't nobody got time for that, right? No joke. I highly considered. And I didn't even field the question to Kayla yet. Because if I do, and she teeters me over the line, I might actually fucking do this.
Like legit fly south for the entire winter?
Yes. Like legit, go for like 4 months.
Just go to Fiji for 4 months or something?
Wherever I can have really high-speed internet and I can work and I can do my party poker stuff, my stream stuff. I'm not joking. Like, and like, I was like, I can move my mom and my sister in my house. They can just fucking live here, take care of the house and the pets. And just be done with this, and we're dipping. Like right after, like legit right after Christmas, we're dipping. And I'm going somewhere warm, hot for like 4 months. And that's that. I'll fucking rent a fucking beach house and just live that fucking life for like 4 months and then come home. That's how much I don't want to deal with winter. Like I'm over it, man. I'm fucking over it. I left the house there about 10 minutes before the podcast came just to go and grab an energy drink because I was fading and it's going to be a late night. And I went outside and the cold hit me. And it's not even that fucking cold.
It's like 8 degrees outside.
It's like 8 degrees outside. And I'm like, fuck, it's cold. And then I realized like, dude, it's going to get like minus 20 here in the next, 6 weeks. That's where I'm at, man. I just don't want to deal with it. And like, why am I here? And I thought to myself, I said, my son he isn't in school. He's not in school yet. So we can literally go anywhere. And like, if I'm ever going to do it, like now's the time. And like, the more I think about this, tonight I might even just bring it to Kale. Like, you want to go somewhere? Like, I'll grab an Airbnb or like a long-term, like a medium-term rental. For like fucking 4 months.
Take somebody's timeshare or like a lease for a while.
Yeah, I don't fucking care. Like even if it costs me like $4,000 or $5,000 a month to like have a really nice place, Fuck it. I'll turn it into content. I'll fucking write the whole thing off. I don't care. Like, I'll fucking vlog it. Like, just get me out of here. Like, that's where I'm at. So anyway.
So not flamethrower, but maybe just leave.
I might just dip.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly would love a flamethrower. I've always, you know, if it wasn't for the fact that it would be broken in the first like 2 years of ownership, there are companies that will inlay wire, kind of like almost like in-floor heating in your driveway, and you can turn that shit on at night before it starts snowing, and it will just clear that shit out, and melt a lot of it down for you. But of course, you know, then you have to be prepared to dig it all out of the fucking pavement when it breaks and do it all over again. I don't know about flamethrower would be fun though. Hideously illegal, but fun. But yeah, I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of winter here either, despite being here my whole life. I don't hate it's not the cold, it's not even the snow, it's just the days where I don't want to shovel it. Because some days I don't mind it because it's like free exercise. It's like, all right, if I do this, I'm not hitting the fucking weights. I'm gonna just shovel some snow. But there are some days you wake up and it's snowed like 40 centimeters outside, and you look out your door and it's the last thing you want to do, and that is pain.
Yep.
And I think about all the people, like you and I are in a pretty specifically privileged position for this because we've worked from home for 10 years. We didn't have to fucking go anywhere. We could shovel the driveway at 2 in the afternoon, wouldn't make a damn difference.
Nope.
But there are people like Dad when he worked at the dockyard, and it'd snow a fucking bitch. And at 4 o'clock in the morning, his ass is awake outside shoveling the whole driveway before going to work. Nah. Those people are out there doing that right now.
Yep.
And I salute you. I fucking salute you.
I feel for him. I've got my fucking snowplow guy on speed dial. He fucking sands or whatever, plows. The only thing that we got to do is like shovel the walkway from the walkway to the driveway. That little part we don't bother paying him for. Like, I can do that. It's not a big deal.
Where the fuck do you dump it all? It's not. You don't really have like a ready location to be like. Well, you got kind of on the left hand side. Is that where you put it? Like the left?
They plow it right in. It kind of goes right up towards the woods.
Oh, okay.
And it just all. And now we got our This is our first winter with our paved driveway. So like,
I was going to say this is the easiest job he's gonna have now. He just puts that bitch straight to the ground.
That's it. Done.
Away you go.
It's done.
You know what else is done? This podcast, because it's time for you to get on over to another screen and another job. It's time to put on a show. That Rockstar needs to kick in. Needs to fucking hit. Needs to hit a little different. We will see you guys next week for another one. Thank you so much for stopping by. And until we see you next week, stay safe out there, and peace.
Peace.